Very good evening, everyone. How's everybody doing? I can't sense the energy in the room. What's going on? Can we have a round of applause for you guys for being such a brilliant, brilliant audience throughout the day? The fact that you guys are still awake is brilliant. So happy. All right, Machine Con, the second edition in Goa. Is everyone having fun? How was last evening? Nice. That means the food and the alcohol was good. All right. So, well, today is a very, very special conversation that I'm going to be having. This is somebody who has been, to me, a brilliant, brilliant sportsman. And I believe people who play sport are very special because, there's no hiding in sport, according to me. Everything is public. Everything is out in the open. The criticism, the pressure. But it's also the brilliance that they bring with it, the dedication, the hours of work that go behind all of the spotlights, etc. And when we see that magic, that brilliant, beautiful cover drive smacked through of, let's say, a Wasim Akram, we all actually just sit up in awe. We never criticize. Of course, when they edge the delivery, we seem to be the coaches of the country saying, "Nahi, ye wala nahi khelna chahiye tha, actually." But here is a man who we are going to be talking about today, who is somebody who I feel did so much for Indian cricket and continues to do so. And, well, some people choose careers. Others have expectations. This gentleman was born into a family which was legacy. We all remember Mr. Sanjay Manjrekar, his father. And I want to just read out the number of tests and the stats that his dad had. And he has been considered, including Mr. Sunil Gavaskar has ended up saying, Mr. Pataudi has ended up saying that he's probably one of the finest ever batsmen to have walked the earth. 55 test matches, scored 3,208 runs, and one of the most technically gifted batsmen of his era. This is Vijay Manjrekar. And as in his son's words, he ended up calling his father like the most amazing lead guitarist and artist who was actually, in terms of his vocation, was so skilled. Of course, the person that I'm talking about today is Sanjay Manjrekar, one of India's most prolific batsmen. And we all remember that tour of 1989 when Sanjay was in Pakistan. He scored 569 runs in 4 test matches at an average of 95. And suddenly, the world sat up and saw this one boy coming out of the Mumbai Maidans and making a huge impression. Of course, he went on to play for India, scored more than 3,000 runs at an average of 37. And then he decided that he's going to do something for Indian cricket and analysis and broadcast that a lot of people have not been able to manage. I have been somebody who has done broadcast, and trust you me, it is one of the toughest jobs to do because you do it in real time. And this guy does it with aplomb. He, of course, is somebody who I believe has played this game twice. Once with the bat, and he continues to play it with a microphone. And he's actually still timing it so, so sweetly. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Sanjay Manjrekar. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Sanjay Manjrekar.
रुक जाना नहीं तू कहीं हार के कांटों पे चल के मिलेंगे साए बहार के रुक जाना नहीं तू कहीं हार के कांटों पे चल के मिलेंगे साए बहार के.
That's one of his favorite songs. Ladies and gentlemen, Sanjay Manjrekar.
Forget all the talk now. Let's sing.
Let's do that actually.
Yeah, this is a guy who is, I mean, when I die, I'll miss him. Kishore Kumar.
Oh,
Hmm.
yes.
Yeah.
So good to have you with us,
Thank you.
Sanjay.
Thank you.
Truly an honor. And I would, of course, like for everyone to relive, and that's where it's nice to start, which is that wonderful series, that tour that you had, 1989. I just mentioned that. And here you were, this young, strapping lad who was facing the likes of Wasim Akram under the captainship of Imran. And they were in their prime, Sanjay, and you scored 569 runs and 4 test matches at an average of 95.
Yes. So now you can see how times change, right? He mentioned Imran Khan, the captain of Pakistan at that time, bowling what 30 overs per innings at the age of 39. And where is Imran Khan today? It tells you how the world changes. You know, who can predict the long-term future?
True,
So
but
think short-term.
true, but you're right. The world changed, everything changed. But what did that series teach you, which has lasted with you till now, Sanjay? Which is, I'll give you 3 thoughts. Which is, did it teach you patience? Did it teach you resilience? Or did it just give you the ability to ignore everything except the next ball?
Yeah, on a serious note, that was at the age of 23, 24. And there was a time in my career when I was coming through junior cricket in Mumbai. And, you know, I was this very impressive talent in the nets and not getting enough runs in matches. Unfortunately, I can't see the faces of people. The light is too bright on me. Can something change there? Because it'd be nice to see faces. Anyway,
Guys, could you please? That would be nice, actually.
so, so that was a time when people saw the obvious talent in me. They could see that in the nets. But match mein jaake, I used to get 30 and get out. And if you've come from Mumbai or you know if you've followed Mumbai cricket, they have this word called khadus, which means if you get a start of 30 runs, you can't get out. So I remember Dilip Sardesai, Rajdeep's father, who used to be extremely unhappy and infuriated by this tendency of mine. And he said, if you get 5 zeros and get 100, I'll have you in my team. But if you're getting 530s and getting out, you're not in my team. तो वो एक था थोड़ा सा to the extent that it was such an obsession in Mumbai, thanks to people like Sunil Gavaskar, who when he got set, got 100, 200, 300, that everybody in the street, you know, the news spread that this is a guy who gets only 30s.
My God,
Yeah.
that's a huge
Yeah, so
pressure.
people would come. There was a friend of mine, very simple guy, and he came to me and he said, you know, I'm not the believe in the 30, I'm the believe in the 100. You know, so everybody came and drilled that into my head. And then I found a way. Thankfully, there was a guy called Milind Rege, who's no more, and he told me, and he said, you've got to focus. You've got to concentrate. And everybody says that, you know, you've got to concentrate. So I asked him, what do you mean by, you know, exactly concentrating? What should I do?
और
हाँ.
कर क्या रहा हूँ मैं?
Correct, correct. So give me a key. I mean, like, hota hai na, give me a simple method. And then he actually thought about it. He also was never asked that question. And he said, I guess it is looking at every ball coming at you and thinking that your life depends on it. And you're not getting out to this ball. And I actually got that into my head. Wow. And the 30s then, I mean, very next month, I went to Baroda to play in an inter-varsity kind of tournament. And I ended up getting 600s in a row. Wow. And there was 180 in between. So I took that to heart, and then that became my sort of way of playing. So I guess looking at every ball as if your life depends on it. So it's just that kind of focus. Kishore Kumar used to tell Amit Kumar,
The same thing.
yeah, that तुम्हारा ना focus नहीं है, focus नहीं है. So I guess focus is the main thing, and focus is relative. Your focus may not be as you know good as somebody else's focus, but that day I came to know what my focus should be to have a series like that.
And wonderful that you got that kind of focus, and the fact that you talked about focus, I'm sure that is one key line for every camera person here.
True.
Focus hona zaruri hai.
Yeah, focus on the good things.
But Sanjay, that innings, I mean, this entire series changed everything for you, right? I mean, in terms of the fact that suddenly everyone stood up and was watching you, and here is this amazing talent that has emerged. Then, of course, happened the West Indies tour,
Yeah.
which was again an insanely quick bowling lineup that you were facing. I want to ask you this, that at such an early age, you were not afraid. And did that translate into life, or was it from where you were coming in terms of the legacy that fear never seemed to be daunting you at any level?
Yeah, so during our times, it's very important to talk about our times and today's times. And one of the things with batters in our time was that we came from the pre-helmet era. So when we talk about fear, it wasn't fear of failure. It was actual fear of getting hit. And most Indian batters at the time had to conquer that fear first, to not get hit. So that, I mean, a lot of the great batters in the past, they had conquered that fear. There were a lot of batters in the 60s, 70s who were good, but the moment there came a tearaway fast bowler, then there was a problem, because then the first instinct is to worry about the ball hitting you. And I had that experience on my debut test match. I actually
You got
retired
hit
hurt.
in the eye.
Yeah, second innings I retired hurt. So matters got really bad for me, but I wanted to make a name desperately. I came from a middle class Maharashtrian family with low income, so what could I aspire for? So I wanted a little bit of fame and recognition, and I was willing to do anything for it. So then after that, I went to West Indies, and once you get runs against people like, Curtly Ambrose, Courtney Walsh, Malcolm Marshall, Ian Bishop, then you're sort of flying in the air. And then after that, I had to make sure that I was grounded. So Pakistan happened after that. Challenge was much lesser. West Indies was tough. So that was the time when I was really on top of the world.
Which actually brings me to this thought, Sanjay, that you just mentioned, and you mentioned it with so much of aplomb and so much of forthrightness, that you came from a family which was a middle class family, and finally it was that pressure that was probably goading you on. But did you think of it at that time? Because I remember reading that you did not even think of the option of you not playing for India. I mean, that thought never crossed your mind. So now when you sit back and introspect or think back or reflect, this line that you just mentioned, I'm pretty sure that they never even had a glimpse in your mind.
Yeah, good question. And now when I look back, I know exactly how it all panned out. My father played for India. So when I was growing up as a kid, the guests that would come to my house were all former players. And all,
Umbrella man.
yeah. As to, yeah. And all superstars of, Indian cricket. It's like having Virat
Just
Kohli,
to,
Rohit Sharma
sorry,
coming. Yeah.
just to give you context, what Umbrella Man means is
Yeah.
basically Sanjay and his family was staying in Dadar. So if a Sunil Gavaskar would come to their house to visit Vijay sir, they had at Gokhale Road, Sanjay standing at Gokhale Road holding an umbrella so that he would at some level mask the people coming in so that they won't get like mobbed. Except the problem was Sanjay wasn't very tall at the time. So he would struggle with the umbrella to get it up to them. Not with Sunil Gavaskar, I'm pretty sure.
No. Yeah, but it actually got more attention. People wondering, "Kaun hai ye?" And it didn't quite help. It's a bit like a lot of celebrities now have security around them, right? It's not really to keep the mob away. It's perhaps to get the mob in. Anyway, so yes, I mean, I wanted success, and so when I see these people coming to my place, and I was young, naive, तो मेरा calculated भी था. My dreams were all very calculated also. I didn't aspire to be a tennis player or a table tennis player or a badminton player, because I knew cricket में थोड़ा there is fame, there is recognition, there's also security, financial security, because वो time पे public sector companies would employ cricketers even if you didn't play for India. If you played first class cricket, you would have a secure job. So that was my first
And
plan
that
of
was the
action. Yeah.
calculation.
Yeah. So that was my thing. And I thought playing cricket with an ambition is playing for India. It's later on there came a stage when I realized it's not going to be that simple. But that is the confidence and somewhere some kind of blind belief that I'll play for India. And that maybe helped. And if you came from Mumbai, it was a realistic dream to dream, to play for India. I remember a lot of young players who would come from smaller towns.
Especially at the time, Sanjay, because
Yeah,
Mumbai was producing some amazing cricketers
yeah.
at the time.
And they were all around us at the club level. So I remember youngsters from Pune and all that just were so desperate to be face to face with the Sunil Gavaskar. So for them, it was a very distant dream. For a Mumbai guy, just because I was not born in Mumbai, I was born in Mangalore, but my roots were in Mumbai, that helped.
Which actually made me think about this, that were you ever fighting thoughts? Because that is something which tends to happen in sports, Sanjay, at a big level, in terms of whatever level you're playing, but you're constantly at battle with your own thoughts. So did you end up feeling that you would be able to fight your own thoughts before you started to fight the bowlers on the field? Or did you just overcome it with ease?
I think you know the answer as well. So there might be a few people like me here. So I overthink. And somebody mentioned, that I cut out an album in '96. I sang the favorite songs of my teammates, and I told that person that I was a better singer then than now because I'm now taking singing very seriously, which means I will self-destruct. So that's my nature. I think something to learn from. And after that kind of start that I had, more than the actual challenge of the bowling attack and everything, it was me having to fight my own thoughts. Because to put it very simply, if I would get a double hundred, I would sit in the room in the evening and worry about the 3, 4 bad shots that I played. So that was my nature. I wrote in my book that failures were in bold font for me and success was like default, ye hona hi hai. And that, even today, that is the case. So that is not helpful at all. The people who focus on success and, sort of brush away failure, like a Virat Kohli is a great example. Doesn't lose confidence easily. And these are the greats who actually don't take failure to heart. It's nothing too different from a great player and a very good player. It's just that they bounce back quicker.
You know that actually I've always wondered about this, Sanjay. I mean, and you're such a we will get into it at a slightly later stage in this conversation in terms of your broadcasting and everything. And I have to say this, that you're amazingly insightful, very analytical. Sanjay loves stats. He spends most of the time in broadcast. He sits with the statistician, just a story on the side. But the fact is, I wanted to ask you this, Sanjay. When you watch these greats, for a Virat, for example, you've played with Sachin. I mean, all of the new boys, Shubman, all of these guys. When you're sitting down and actually commentating and analyzing their skill set, how does it not happen to you that you tend to compare yourself because you were prolific when it came to your own technique? How difficult is it for you to kind of, detach yourself from that and not see yourself probably and then just see them and figure it out? You know where I'm going
Actually,
with
that,
this?
yeah, yeah. No, so that happened almost like automatically. The moment I quit cricket and became a commentator, very rarely you'll hear me talking about the way I played or give an example of mine. Today I'm talking about myself because that is the topic. But I was a broadcaster, and analyzing comes very naturally to me. So even as a player, there was one, I look back and I think about it. It's so funny. We were in South Africa, '93. The first series, first tour of India to South Africa after the apartheid regime. And I was struggling. I wasn't getting runs. But I was sitting in the coach, in the bus, after a game, a day's play, and I was drawing, a, a pitch and the stumps and everything to Javagal Srinath, the fast bowler, Srinath. And I was telling him, the mistake that you're making is this line that you bowl. I think you should be focusing on bowling outside the off. And that is how I was, and I was not so much thinking about my problem, but it's something that is natural to me. I analyze everything. And Akash Chopra, who is another formidable analyst, he keeps saying forever analyzing. So constant analysis. So this second innings of my life came very naturally. Even in team meetings, if opinions were sought, I was the first one to give my opinion. This has to happen and stuff like that. Yeah.
Okay. So what was harder? That actually brings me to this. What was harder? Was it basically facing the fast bowling that you did, which was like honestly one of probably the best crop of fast bowlers, Sanjay, that you've faced, and you faced it with so much of ease. Was that tougher, or was it tougher in terms of facing, for example, a nation? In terms of the criticism, in terms of everyone has an opinion in our nation about people who play the game, and which for you was tougher? Because there were moments in your career where after you had done so brilliantly well, then suddenly when the runs dried up, and you yourself being an analytical mind was constantly checking your position, you're constantly checking your technique, but there was a lot of noise also coming through.
So playing days noise, this is actually very interesting. I remember after that tour of West Indies, when I came back home, my family had kept press clippings of,
Yeah.
what was written about me. And I read a few from some reporters, and they were praising me to the skies as if I'm the best thing to have happened to Indian cricket. And मुझे लगा कि थोड़ा ये ज़्यादा हो रहा है. So very early, for me, that didn't matter.
So it didn't go to your head, huh?
No, it didn't matter. I had my own, the strongest critic was inside me. So I didn't care about what was said. So that was my thing. As a player, the outside noise didn't matter. As a broadcaster, it's something that's there. That's my market. And I have to care about, what they think, because if there's too much of backlash and there's too much of hate for me, I won't have a job. So I've always had to sort of walk that very tightrope where I have to say things, but not say in a way that I start losing platforms. Then, all these opinions, kiske saath share karu? My wife has no time, my daughter doesn't have any time, so I have to make sure that I balance that properly.
Which is a very tight rope, to be honest, because I have to
Yeah.
say this, you come from the heart a lot of times on broadcast. You say what is in your heart and your mind, which actually brings me to, I have to ask this question and I have to do it now. मुझे एक बहुत गंभीर सवाल पूछना है. You know where I'm going with this.
Yeah. He's the hot topic currently, isn't it?
पूछ लो.
Yeah, of course, ask me anything.
टेस्ट क्रिकेट कहाँ जा रहा है संजय? मुझे बहुत घबराहट और दर्द हो रही है. My soul cries at night. 2 whitewash series.
Yeah.
And गंभीर सवाल है. तो
Yeah. Good one. So now you want to, it's about Indian Test cricket, right? So I don't think we should worry too much because itna popular sport hai ye that we'll keep getting talent, and and we tend to forget one thing, that all the other nations that India is competing with, unka cricket is not their first sport. It's not the most popular sport. It's the second, third, fourth. And India ke liye that is it. So every youth wants to play cricket. So we'll have quality talent coming through. Problem hai aaj ki tareekh mein, it's like classical singing. Test cricket is exact replica, analogy is classical singing, and it's not economical, to spend hours and hours learning, doing riyaz and learning classical singing. You're not going to be a very rich man. So we've got these other formats where reaching excellence is a little easier, and the rewards are too much, financial as well as name and everything. So test cricket ke liye bahut alag tarah ki mehnat karni padti hai. You have got to play it unconditionally just because you want to prove yourself. But if you saw the young Indian batters in England, you would have seen that they care about test cricket. The batting that I saw from Jaiswal, Shubman Gill, KL Rahul is slightly more senior, but all the young players, they were incredible. ये जो series जो 3-0 and 2-0 हुआ, I put it on Instagram, and that the reason is more, it is not so much, that there is a crisis or a problem, is that the youth of today, the ones that are playing in that series or played in that series, haven't played spin as much. It's something that they haven't had a practice of. All these batters who struggled against New Zealand and South Africa, they were all better players of spin before they played for India. So kya hota hai, I said on Insta that when you play for India, you become like an NRI. You sort of travel everywhere. It happened to us also. There was one year when we traveled and played everywhere except India. And when I came back to India, I felt like a stranger at home. Because turning pitches and the challenges that come with it.
That difficult to adapt that
I
quickly?
mean, you have that deep inside you because that is how you've grown up. But you lose touch. So when you look at all these players that have struggled there, they have played more overseas in the last 3 years and less at home. So straight away into a turning page, typical Indian conditions. It's exactly like an NRI coming home and feeling a little ye kya ho raha hai. So ideally, they should be playing a lot more home if they want home success. But don't forget, we in the 90s we were brilliant at home and struggled overseas. This team post Ganguly has done really well overseas, as
There's no
much
two
better.
ways about it.
It's home ka bhi problem hai. So it's a problem that can be easily resolved. I don't think it's a
No
crisis.
alarm bells
No,
ringing
alarm bells is for the format,
for the
for
format.
test cricket as
For
a
the
whole.
format. So फिर भी मतलब गंभीर है ना सवाल.
टेस्ट क्रिकेट गंभीर है क्योंकि अभी तो 4 ही टीम बच गए हैं.
हाँ, fair.
I don't think Pakistan will ever reach the heights. West Indies is finished. Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, all. So abhi South Africa is holding the flag high. New Zealand, England, Australia, and India. So 5 teams left. And आस्ते आस्ते वो कम होते जाएंगे. So that's alarm bells.
That's why I love the honesty. It's always clean and straight, pretty much like your drive. Okay, so I have to ask you this, which is the broadcast bit, Sanjay. Should a commentator protect the game's romance or genuinely, like you just did, puncture the illusions around it? And that's a very tough rope, tight rope that you were talking about. Because let's face it, you're a passionate player. Of course, the fact that the day you retired, you never missed the game. And that is fascinating. I wanted to ask you about that. I mean, here is somebody who spent so much of time honing your skills. And the day you retire, you're like, Acha, theek hai, thank you.
Yeah.
I would rather now maybe watch cinema, I would listen to music, I would read, I would find people who are non-cricketers
Yeah.
to enrich my life. By the way, Sanjay is a huge cinema fan. Like he watches everything and anything.
After the Hunt. is
That's the
some-
film that he's talking about.
Latest
Yes.
recommendation.
Yeah,
Julia Roberts.
fair. But what was it like for you in terms of this bit? That when you commentate on the game, does it become easier for you to do it because now that you've retired and there's no love lost as such, that you don't romanticize the game?
No, no, it's much easier for me, and I rarely get emotional unless it's a World Cup final 2011 where you start having that Indian bias, or the Eden Gardens, VVS Lakshman Dravid partnership. That's when you get sucked in. Otherwise, I'm very, very clinical, and that's why I'm able to say things that ought to be said. But the problem is that there is too much of trying to mold the voice around a cricket match. मेरा एक simple funda है, if you've got 6, 7 commentators, let each one bring their own flavor to it. Right? So somebody might be liking forthright talk. There might be somebody who wants to hear good things about the game. Or there might be somebody who just wants a light-hearted, overall review of the game. So when you have different characters in the commentary box, each one gets what they want. The problem today is that they want every commentator to enhance the viewing experience. So they don't look at cricket and sport as entertainment per se, as in pure entertainment of what's happening out there. There is pressure on people like us to make it entertaining, which shouldn't be the case. If sport needs support of commentators to make it entertaining and watchable, then we have a problem. So that's why I believe it has changed a little bit. There's also a certain amount of, marketing of any nation's cricket that is happening. It has changed. 10, 15 years back, it was like people would sit in the commentary box and have a go at the administration, the pitches, the facilities at the ground. You can't do that anymore. So things have changed, and it's got a lot to do with the stakes getting a little higher. And because all cricket boards now control broadcast, this is something that's bound to happen. Earlier, the broadcasting and the production was done by an independent agency or a channel that didn't, where the cricket board once gave the rights, had no control over the production. Now they have control. And you can understand why that should be the case, because it's their product. But this is the natural fallout.
But tell me this, this is two parts I wanted to ask you this, Sanjay, that the voice of a commentator and somebody who's played for India, like yourself, and like a Mr. Gavaskar, or, authority, voices of authority. when you comment or at a debut of a player, right, and you say wonderful things about that player, I'm pretty sure that has an impact on the selection, or for that matter, maybe not in a big way,
Yeah.
but the fact that at least that voice matters. That is point one.
Yeah.
And point two, pretty much, I'm pretty sure everyone wants to know, like you said, there are 7 different commentators, everyone brings in their flavors.
Yeah.
Please, behind the scenes anecdote about what are the different flavors that everyone brings in. And the fact that you guys are very prim and proper, as I've heard you live on broadcast. But सही में जब कोई गलत shot खेलते हो तो क्या mic really want to
Yeah.
know that.
Yeah. So even when you think, I'm being very forthright and I speak my mind on air, it's still 50% of what's inside. So it is a little filtered. But to answer your question, there are two parts to it, right? I mean, when you look at the Indian commentators, for example, take Ravi Shastri. For the big moments, you need him. And it's something that comes naturally to him. He has that voice, and it is not a put on, and he keeps it very simple, and he's actually reacting to what's happening, and he's enjoying the game. He loves watching cricket. I don't. He watches everything.
That's amazing. You
Yeah,
say.
honestly, I mean that is me. So I bring another flavor. So that is Ravi Shastri for you. Harsha Bhogle uh, is another very interesting, yeah. And see, he also has to be on the panel because he's somebody who hasn't played the game but has every right to talk about the game because he's been so closely associated with it with great passion and loyalty, a bit like Tony Cozier in the past. So he brings that to the table. I bring my stuff. Sunil Gavaskar gets his legendary status, and sometimes he just when he loses his shit, and I love it when that happens, and I encourage him to be more like that because that's when he really comes out, and he's a very intelligent man. So he holds back a lot, but eventually वो volcano जब erupt होता है and when it comes out, I just enjoy it because that is what he's all about, and he never is unable to
There's no
articulate
filter.
them. And he has the gift of language as well. So everything that comes out brilliantly. So every time that happens, I say, nice. And he said, oh God, now there's going to be another controversy around it. So that's the thing. I forgot the first part of the question.
First bit was Sanjay, for example, somebody making a debut.
Yeah, the voice.
Yes, the importance.
But
of
I've
the
never
voice.
actually gone in thinking that I can make or break careers. We can't. But it has a huge bearing. Yeah, and a lot of my Mumbai, cricketing colleagues have a complaint against me that I don't talk enough about Mumbai players or young players. So somewhere maybe it matters. But it's something that I have never felt strongly about that I must, encourage Mumbai players.
Why is that? Any particular reason
Yeah,
for that?
I think naturally I'm very
To be
humble.
neutral?
No, I'm humble in my role. My role is to, speak while the match is on. Players are far too powerful, and it's because of them that I have a job. Tomorrow they
Fully
decide. Tomorrow they decide we don't want to play cricket. I'll be out of job. So that humility I have, and I never ever think that because I've said something, something may happen. I just say it because, and I keep saying to the players when they say, we don't care about the outside noise, and sometimes they have some angst against us, and I said we are such unimportant people because if you're good, you'll come through one word from us or some people have an agenda to make or break career, but I don't think they've ever been successful at it.
I have to ask you this. I mean, this was a very important moment in all our recent memory and will always be etched in history. Virat retirement. We are all still very confused about it, Sanjay. Why did it happen? He still at least had 4 years to play. And since you say that you talk to players and you pretty much, I'm sure, talk to everyone, any insights on that bit? Why?
Let me thoda sa be like Uncle Tom and educate the audience a little bit because I'm quite senior in age also now. I don't think there'll be too many people of my age.
Latta nahi hai, by the way, with your
हाँ.
fitness program that you are very.
So the whole idea is to look younger and yeah. But I'll say this that even the hardcore cricket fan sometimes doesn't, uh, what should I say, doesn't understand cricket the way it should be. Now, Virat Kohli, why did he quit? or not in the test team. जो मैं हमेशा बोलता हूँ कि अगर when you're looking at cricket, no, please at least I can maybe influence whoever is a cricket fan here. It's like a chef, right? A Chinese chef, somebody who makes great sushi in Japan won't make a great tandoori chicken, right? So वैसे ही है cricket का ये जो three formats है ना very very different. Food industry है लेकिन sushi is different from tandoori chicken. So Virat Kohli is a very interesting, interesting exceptional Indian player, where if you look at his record, he played for 15 years. His first 5 years, he averaged 36. Beach ke 5 years when he was at his top in Test cricket, only Test cricket I'm talking, he averaged 60 and above. That is when he was truly great and getting runs against the toughest players. Last 5 years, average of 31. So rightly dropped or left out or retired, whatever, because 5 years you can't be having an average of 31. In the meanwhile, 50 overs cricket, he's been phenomenal. So people think, yeah, itna form mein, I think he's got 100 today as well. So I'm sure there'll be talk that he should come back into the Indian Test team. Connection hi nahi hai kuch. T20 is also the same. So we've got to start looking at all three formats. So when somebody, if you're saying that Virat should be in the team, you should say which format, based on which performance. So yeah, important for us to understand because it's the same sport, but all three formats now are chalk and cheese. And quickly, I'll also squeeze in one thing that 50 overs format is the worst. Is the worst because you've got T20 where there's some kind of excellence of power hitting, hitting under pressure, financial stakes in the IPL. So there's tremendous pressure on the bowler and the batter. 50 overs cricket is like a thoda Goa resort holiday thing because there's absolutely no pressure. Harsha Bogle had once said that it's a no aggression pact of both sides, because virtually 30 overs of 40 overs of a 50 overs game is where a team is happy to get 5 runs and over and the opposition is happy to concede 5 runs and over. Test cricket, of course, is another challenge. So 50 overs cricket, in fact, in my view, breeds mediocrity a lot. And if you're batting in the top three, you'll see all the top run getters in 50 overs cricket will be guys who have batted in the top three. That won't be the case in T20s or Test cricket.
Valid point. We are sitting in a room full of leaders, Sanjay.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
Yeah, अभी मेरे को थोड़ा sink in हो गया.
ये जरूर पूछना है. You've played in teams, who've had superstars. You've played in teams, well, who've been great together as a team, but they're no superstars. You've won in both situations. So I need to ask you this. According to you, what actually turns, let's say, a dressing room or a team into a unit? According to you, what is that secret sauce?
So every country needs a different leader. When Australia is still a good team, but when they were really dominating, it didn't matter whether a Steve Waugh led them or a Mark Taylor led them or a Ricky Ponting led them because it was like a well-oiled machinery. No matter who the leader was, they would just go and do their job. And it's something that I used to tell Ian Chappell, who I respect a lot. And his funda is very simple. He said, it's a no-brainer to pick a captain. Just pick your squad and make the best player in the team your captain. But it doesn't work like that in India and Pakistan, and to an extent Sri Lanka. Pakistan, I'll give an example. When Imran Khan captain, Pakistan won matches, won world titles. When Javed Miandad became captain, there was a revolution in the team. Nobody wanted to play under him. So when there are temperamental people
Because
in a
we
team,
all remember what he did to More, you remember?
yeah, absolutely. So India is also very similar, but Abhi, India is also becoming a little more professional, well-oiled machinery. So leadership is the key in India. You just look at Dhoni's performance, whether he's playing for CSK or he's playing for India,
Commendable.
had a lot to do with leadership. CSK have won with mediocre teams
Yeah.
just because of Dhoni's leadership and understanding.
They are known as the daddy team.
Yeah, that year, when they were the oldest team, they won. When they were out for 2 years, when they came back, they won. So leadership in India is very important, as I think most of these leaders would know, because they're temperamental people. We are emotional people.
Which of course then brings me to this thought, which is in sport, it's very important that, silence can be strategy. We've seen that with Dhoni in a big way. He's cool as a cucumber. वो उसके बेचारे के खुद के बाल सफेद हो गए, बहुत से झड़ भी गए, but he was always calm and cool. But this point, Sanjay, is, do you feel that in leadership, is being silent a strength, or is it surrender? What's your thought on
Again,
that?
it depends on the kind of team that you had. I'm sorry, I keep going back to Imran Khan. It's a way back in time, but he was one of the best I saw. Now, this is a guy
Truly
who,
did just, I mean,
yeah, he was, I mean, he would mingle with the glitterati of London and, that kind of social circle. But the kind of language he spoke on the field with the bunch of cricketers that he had, I mean, I couldn't repeat what he said. But
but please बताओ ना.
हाँ, नहीं, बहुत ही गंदी language है वो. And, but he needed to
क्या?
use that kind of language. MS is somebody who delegates. I mean, I'd love to hear later from people sitting here. Dhoni is somebody who delegates. So there were occasions when, I've been a little frustrated with what happened towards the end of a game. And then you have to do a post-match interview. And I said, kya hua? And then he would give reasons, like a proper, analyst. He would tell you, yaar, ye ho gaya, wo ho gaya. I said, but couldn't you tell them, इस level पे भी अगर बताना होगा तो फिर क्या? So he was somebody who let people be. Very rarely he would, micromanage or something. But I am a big fan of, if you have that kind of a team. Because my philosophy is this, that if you've got a young bunch of players, extremely talented, like the kind you had in England, and if you had somebody like a Rahul Dravid, now just imagine that talent and Rahul Dravid's brains coming together. But it doesn't happen in cricket. It's the captain is given the complete control. So he does it in his own way. But
Do you believe that it's the correct way to go about it? Because, I mean, shouldn't there be a wonderful little marriage which is taking place?
yeah, जैसे football में होता है.
Correct.
Yeah, cricket में way back people would remember 99 में Bob Woolmer and Hansi Cronje had that gadget.
Exactly.
And I loved it.
Yes.
Because see, what viewers want is greater quality of performance. And if the tactics and the strategies are going to get better with the intervention or even suggestion of somebody who's sitting outside, a wise man, because sometimes when you're out, you're also looking at the larger picture and you're seeing a different situation. Just suggestions. And could just become a better performance because tactically things would change. I'm a huge supporter of that. But cricket runs by tradition a lot, where the captain is allowed to do what he wants. And yeah, some coaches want to get in, but it's still very much run by coaches. That's why I believe when coaches get the blame for a loss, like for example now with Gautam Gambhir, or too much credit as well, I feel it's a little misplaced. And it's something that I've always believed in cricket because the contribution is marginal. In other sport, it's a lot more. I remember Rahul Dravid once when they won some kind of event, Champions Trophy or maybe, and he met me later and he said, Mr. Manjrekar, I had some role to play in that. You might think that I've done nothing, but I had some role to play. In jest he was telling me. I said, maybe, yes.
I was another brick in the wall, huh?
Yes, true.
Okay. As far as this is concerned, Sanjay, so I mean, the way I understand it is, if I were to sum up the aspect on leadership, you believe it's better to be hands-on. You believe it's better to navigate.
Depending on the
Fair.
staff that you
Fair. The people that you have, and finally, at the end of the day, there has to be a lot of back and forth to make the entire experience a lot more enriched.
Yeah, because I'll give you a quick, actually, the experience that I've had in a team meeting where a mistake was being made, and then you had a review of the match. We lost the game, important game, and then the captain is tearing his hair out, and he said, you should have bowled there, and this should have happened, and that should have happened. And Manoj Prabhakar, is a very simple guy, and he said, why you didn't tell then and there?
True.
Why not address the problem there? So if a coach sees something from outside, which could be a disastrous move, he can prevent that from happening, but it doesn't happen. थोड़ा सा वो होता है कि नहीं करने दो उसको. Like Ashish Nehra in the IPL is thoda hands-on.
Very hands-on.
And look at Hardik Pandya with Ashish Nehra and without Ashish Nehra. So somewhere I think depending on the kind of captain that you have and the team that you have, hands-on, leadership from outside, I don't have a problem with it.
Wonderful. We are obviously talking about numbers whenever we talk about cricket. Sanjay, you are somebody who is an exponent, a brilliant mind as far as the analysis is concerned. We are obviously in the age of AI.
Hmm.
So I have to ask you this in terms of the fact that we all know that AI is something which is supporting, enhancing our overall experience. But what do you feel? What's that one decision in, for example, life, cricket, understanding of whatever, or in leadership for that matter, that you feel that machines should never make? What's that one decision according to you?
It's a good question and tough one. I think until now I've been able to answer everything confidently. This is slightly outside my comfort zone. Uh, like I know Rahul Dravid is a huge fan of technology. There was an
Anil
occasion.
Kumble as well.
Yes, and they look it also, and they come from a place of,
True.
yeah. So there was an IPL game, and Carlos Brathwaite, I think, was playing for Rajasthan Royals, and he got the Player of the Match award. And the next match was going to be in a different venue, where they felt that Carlos Brathwaite's skills were not going to be useful, and he was dropped the very next match. So that is Dravid doing things completely based on data because he saw the data, and that happens a lot today. But the obvious answer is that you can't be completely, ruled by it because instinct is basically we should never take instinct lightly because I believe it's a millions of years kind of evolution of our mind which tells us that something doesn't seem right. MS Dhoni is a modern day captain with a great success record with minimum use of data.
Data and
As a commentator, I find great, it's a great tool for me.
but it's very different because when you're facing a ball at 150 kilometers an hour, you won't really wonder about the analytics
Yeah,
and the mechanics of it. You just want your instinct to take over,
yeah.
which I'm pretty sure because you've been on both sides of the coin.
Absolutely, because in our time we weren't able to see ourselves properly, performing technique and everything. So, I believe in your world, technology is at a much advanced stage, and you all will make greater use of it. Cricket, thoda sa abhi bhi, may still be getting a little used to it. But to just give you an example, an interesting one as to how technology opens eyes. There was a time when everybody was talking about a suspect bowling action. पता है वो chucking वाला ये chuck करता है
Muralidharan was a big
मुरलीधरन.
one.
And Bishan Singh Bedi, who had to
Correct.
clean his action, and he said, ये दूसरा क्या है? What is this? It's like a mistress, illegal delivery, because there was a bent arm, which is a very great statement. But when they ran all the suspect bowling actions through the very super slow technology and watched that arm at, whatever, 1,000, 1,200 frames per second, even Bishan Singh Bedi's arm had a slight bend.
Oh, wow.
So that is when everybody's eyes were open, and that's why that where people criticized it that 18 degrees was allowed, 14 degrees, because after that, if the bend was more than 18, it became visible to the naked eye. But technology had seen it. So the rule, as per the rule, it is an illegal delivery. Bishan Singh Bedi would have bowled all deliveries with a slight bent arm. I don't know how many people are into music. My son is actually really into music. And the new generation, because मेरा एक सुर का एक knowledge है कि सुन के पता चलता है ये सुर लग गया है या थोड़ा कम पड़ गया है. They find a problem with
Surre ke
every sur.
asur hai.
Every sur they have a problem because their technology tells them that it's not in sur. And they are dictated by that, which is again very interesting. So that's how it is. But with cricket, as I said, it's still nascent stage as a sport, technology.
Sanjay, very quickly, I would need, and I know you've been very quick in terms of facing fast bowlers, so you know the obvious segue. This is the rapid fire.
Oh, okay.
I tried to, well, be creative, but I failed miserably. Anyway, so here it is. Your favorite shot?
Yeah, I actually thought about it on the plane. People mention straight drive, cover drive, but these are shots played to the ball that's pitched up. So I would pick a back foot cover drive as one of the most difficult. And my dream shot would be a pull shot, which I never played. Yeah, a fast bowler, I am bounced you,
Nice.
trying to hurt you, and then you sort of slap him.
Nice.
Like Virat used to do it. So that would be
Okay.
my dream shot.
The toughest bowler you have ever faced?
Uh, Depending on form, when I was out of form, everybody was tough. But I would say, yeah, Richard Hadley, I'm sorry, I'm taking names of people in the past, but इनका mention होना चाहिए क्योंकि आजकल के coverage में you won't hear about a Vivian Richards or a Richard Hadley. I mean, Richard Hadley was a master of his trade. So he was the best bowler I faced. I faced a lot of great bowlers in the first couple of years of my career, but he'll stand out if I have to pick one.
All right. The one thing Indian cricket must stop doing.
Uh, there is a narrative to lead people to believe that everything is great with Indian cricket. I think wo thoda hona nahi chahiye. Let people decide. Give an
Wonderful.
honest coverage of that and let people decide whether it's great or not so great.
One belief that Sanjay Manjrekar has changed.
I'm tweeting less. Yeah, very little tweeting now because earlier when I used to, once, the state of mind I was in, frustrated after a match and show, मुझे लगा I'm sending a WhatsApp message to my producer and I tweeted that, honestly. And you can imagine private WhatsApp message going on Twitter or X as it's called now. So tweeting less is a real growth in me.
One rule that you would like to share with young leaders, people with a voice that matters.
I think man management is very important. And anybody who has a great perception of people, I think will be a very good leader. I think that is, for me, is the paramount sort of quality. I'll be interested in hearing what they have to say about it. But if you're a good man manager, I think you'll do well as a leader.
Fabulous. And the final thing is this. In one sentence, how does one speak with purpose, Sanjay?
First, you've got to believe that what you're saying is, you believe in it. Like, again, a bizarre example is a Govinda, the dancer. He said that people enjoy watching me dance because I enjoy dancing. So anything that you say with conviction that you believe in, works and resonates. There's a tendency in some young broadcasters today who know that this guy is probably going to get 100 in the next 5 minutes, 100 aane wala hai. So already their script is ready. And when they sort of say that on air, it never has the kind of effect that, say, a Ravi would just react to that moment. And, sometimes they stumble as well because their script is ready, but the guy has done something that you didn't expect, like a Rishabh Pant.
Right,
That little thing.
Correct.
And he is onto his script and usne wo kar diya, then there is a problem. So just keep it simple.
So basically, Mr. Navjot Singh Sidhu is a guiding light for all of us.
Yeah, I mean, he does that in the studio. In commentary, nahi kar, so it works there.
Okay, fair enough. Ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause for Sanjay Manjrekar.
Thank you. Thank you.